Chris. I'll start with a few identifying questions. What are your qualifications?
I don't have.
What does that mean you don't have?
I've never been to school. Okay, yeah. A BA in journalism.
Okay.
That's cool. I'm a journalist, so
Okay.
maybe I'll be a good resource to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What department are you in?
I'm in programs.
And what are your responsibilities?
Information and research. That's my job title. So my responsibilities are to do media relations, draft press statements, research on those subjects that I need to discuss with the media, talking to the law, yeah, just those things that people information do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can you tell me generally about the governance system that exists in Zambia?
What do you want to hear?
Whatever you can tell me, whatever you know.
It's a very good governance system, but it's being abused.
Okay.
The rule of law does not exist. We need to, well, it does exist, but it is not respected. People's human rights, those entitlements, are not guaranteed, especially the Bill of Rights. I'll give you some examples, can I?
Sure.
Media freedom is not guaranteed. I don't know off the cuff because I'm so annoyed. Not annoyed, but disappointed. It was in the Constitution that guarantees freedom of expression. That is too general, as the media in Zambia needed to have press freedom enshrined in the Constitution, specifically that it's guaranteed. That's why we see abuse of the media by the state and other people like politicians. So that right is not guaranteed. Yeah, that's what I mean when I say people's human rights are either not respected or others are not guaranteed in the law. Yeah. Our democracy also is not in good shape. Look at the judiciary. Sometimes they pass very controversial rulings, like the incomplete constitutional court process or the presidential petition, something that has kept everyone wondering what is going on with our democracy. Yeah. So just here and there, you have an idea about my views on the governance system that we have in the country.
You said there's very good governance system, but it's being abused. What makes it a very good governance system?
Because we're a democracy.
Okay.
A democracy, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, in which the media must be unfettered, because it is through the media that we see the transparency and accountability of the government. Yeah, but the media is not free of the state invisible hand. But again, look at the participation of citizens in the governance. The government does not listen to the people, neither do the people have a platform where they can talk to the government. For me, those are the pillars of democracy. So if those things are not happening, then we have a good governance system, but the institutions of governance are not functioning to expectation.
Looking back 10 years ago and now, what has changed in terms of governance?
Of course, we've been having elections, So just having elections, it does not mean that we have good governance. Yes, we have had elections, and so many years have passed. Our democracy is supposed to mature, yeah. But after what we are seeing is a deterioration in the gains that we had started recording since 1991. Yeah. People's freedoms, like the freedom of assembly, yeah, freedom of expression, they are at risk, they are under threat, they are threatened. Yeah. So what we are seeing, although we are making, we have gained, yeah, over the last 10 years, but again, we are seeing that these gains are being eroded, yeah, by the actions of the police, yeah, and the state and their agents. I'm not saying that the situation is that bad, but I'm just pointing at things that we are seeing.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Zambia is going towards a failed state, but we're pointing out some gray areas.
Okay. In a democracy, we say that people are at the center of the rule. Do you think this applies to Zambia right now?
In principle, but indeed, I thought I answered that question.
Yes.
I thought I answered that question, but to repeat that, when I look at some of the pillars of the democracy, transparency and accountability and people's participation, the only time that people participate, in my view, the only time that citizens participate in the governance process of this country is when is during elections. This is when you get politicians pretend to listen to the people. This is when you get politicians, especially those in power, give an opportunity for citizens to participate in the electoral process. After that, the citizen voices, the participation of the people, it just, to a large extent, people do participate through civil society, but the voices, it's not really a situation that we want. We want more. We want, for example, participation at the local level, at the district level, okay? For instance, or even the structures lower than that. People must be able to state to the elected officials their development needs. It is not happening. It is the people at the top that take hospitals where the hospitals are not needed. People need schools and hospitals and not roads, for instance. So you see that the participation of the people is not there. That's why you have this disjointed development that does not address the needs of the people. So the participation of the people is not adequate, but people, in my view, only participate in governance at elections. And it's a cycle of 5 years. Very unfortunate.
Okay. What do you think are the obstacles to democracy?
Wow. We have got bad laws, bad legal system, bad laws like the Public Order Act in Zambia. It's an old law that was crafted 52 years ago, but it is still applicable now. It is seen to be one of the laws that is an affront to our democracy because it restricts people's freedoms to assembly. Yeah? The bad media laws like the law of contempt, criminal defamation of the president. The president is an unelected public official, so he must be available for public scrutiny and through the media. But at times when these individuals are involved in wrongdoing or when they're being scrutinized by the media, it is usually the media is cowed down, and that is seen as criminal defamation of the president, and it's a very serious, it's a grave offense. So these are bad laws. These are part of the legal. These are part of the provision in the legal structure that make democracy not function. Yeah, the police. Sometimes the institutions of democracy are either not strengthened, not operationalized. I'll give you, for instance, the Human Rights Commission. It is we need to strengthen that institution. Apart from merely making recommendations, we can strengthen it, for instance, for them to be able to prosecute and to also broaden their mandate. Yeah. We have a new provision in the Constitution. I think I remember Article 244, the Office of the Public Protector. It's there in the Constitution, and the infrastructure, the office is there, but it is not operational. Why is it not operational? Because this is a very powerful office that citizens can use to make to account those who are in public office. But deliberately, it is not funded, so it is an affront to democracy. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Tell me about the Access to Information Bill. Tell me about it.
What do you want to hear?
Everything.
Okay, it's a story that we can discuss all day. So something. What do you want to hear?
Well, whatever you know about the Access to Information Bill, and from there I'll be able to pick which way to go.
The Access to Information Bill is a very progressive piece of legislation that has been stuck in the National Assembly for many years. Although it has got good provisions, it is a law that will enable citizens and the media in particular to have access to information that is in public offices. People need to know what is happening in the Ministry of Finance, in all these public places. But for you to access that information, for you as a journalist, whether investigative journalist or whatever, you cannot access it easily, and there's a lot of red tape. Sometimes it's just not easy. But this law will compel states to make public information available. So we wonder why the state, maybe why Parliament does not want to pass this bill into law. Perhaps maybe because this law will make our democracy more transparent and accountable, our governance system more transparent and accountable. So we assume that those in power do not want to be transparent and accountable. You understand? It has been taken to Parliament, I think, twice and withdrawn, and we are waiting. And this is why civil society, together with the other media bodies, we are actually calling upon the not so new Minister of Information to take back this bill to Parliament so that it can be enacted into law. Because it will make our democracy actually functional. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think citizens should have access to information?
Yes, because democracy thrives on the availability of information. It is a human right. Citizens have the right to impart information on others. They also have the right to receive information. It is only when citizens are aware of what their government is doing with the power that was entrusted with them. It is only when citizens are aware of what the state is doing with the national cake, the treasure. That's when we can chart our own development path. In any case, when these people are elected, they must make information available to the people that elected them. They're like our servants, okay? So that's why information is cardinal. That's why information, without information, democracy becomes difficult. Without information, our governance system cannot function because we have nothing to look at. It's a two-way kind of arrangement where those in public office must listen to the people elected them, and also the citizens must interface with their elected leaders. It all centers around the cross-pollination of information. So this cross-pollination of information has all these laws that will criminalize it, and that is what we don't want. Yeah.
What is the process of coming up with a bill?
Sorry?
What is the process, the steps of coming up with a bill?
I don't know. It is generated perhaps by citizens. It's generated by citizens or the state itself, maybe a particular ministry. At cabinet office. That is almost the same process as that of coming up with the policy. It could arise out of citizens' demands, or it could arise from cabinet or a particular ministry that or civil society demands. So we need a law that is going to address this matter, this challenge that we have. And then it is either I'm sure of, pardon my ignorance, these processes, we don't think about them every day. A policy goes to cabinet. There is a policy formulation committee. I think this one goes to parliament, a particular committee, a particular select committee looks at the draft bill. Then I think it goes to, before it goes to parliament, so it goes to Ministry of Justice, where they look at all the legal provisions and blah blah blah, and then it goes to parliament. Then it is presented by whoever. Then it is read 3 times. The debate. Then it is either assented to or it is thrown out.
Were you part of this process of developing the bill?
Usually, you can input into the process. You can input to the process as civil society or as interested stakeholders. So you can give comments, or you can give any other contributions that you feel will strengthen the bill. So you don't do that directly, especially when it is on the floor of the house. But what you do is you begin to look for members of parliament of like minds, because they're the ones that are in the house and debating the bill. So when it is tabled before parliament, you input in that way. But even before it is tabled before parliament, when you are aware that there's a process of drafting a bill, you can contribute at the various stages that it is going through. Either by writing directly or by influencing through people who are sitting on the drafting committee.
So which of those roles did you play when you took part in it?
Apart from that, we do advocacy around. I've not read. I'm new for them.
Okay.
Yeah, but that does not give an excuse. I have not read the documentation specifically what FODEF did in terms of contributing to the development of the bill, but I know of the advocacy around the bill. FODEF did advocacy around the bill, around expediting the process of enacting the bill into act of parliament.
Okay.
So that is the vision that I'm aware of. Later on, I could hit you with an email when I access the files to look at what is it that for the did specifically and at what stage did that contribution come. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know of any other stakeholders who are part of the process?
Yes. I know you've been to Mr. Zambia, the Media Institute of Southern Africa.
Okay.
Here, the PF, the Post Freedom Committee, you know, the Press Association of Zambia, our moribund Press Association of Zambia. You know, Transparency International. Tells us, yeah. Yeah, maybe that is enough.
Okay. Do you know how they were selected?
No, these are individual, civil society and media bodies.
Okay.
But you are not selected. These are they are external partners. Those things, that process is government driven. Okay, that process is government driven. So these stakeholders just jump on the bandwagon and contribute from outside, not internal. Yeah.
Are you aware of any collisions that were formed around them?
Yes. Of the Media Liaison Committee, those media bodies came together. The Media Liaison Committee, it's a composition of these media bodies. Yeah. And there's an NGO coalition also, civil society coalition, JCTR, for the support. I think TIZ. The other ones I can't remember off the cuff. Yeah.
How responsive do you think government was to the views of these other stakeholders?
Responsive. Of course, the state would, in public, they would be accommodative, would be responsive, and promise to take on board the views of these stakeholders. But they would just not implement those recommendations. They would not take on board the recommendations. They would just store their own line. So we can say that not responsive.
Okay.
Because if they're responsive, the bill would have been an act now. It would have been a law.
Okay. What do you think are the main requirements to enact the bill?
I don't know. It's just to pass it in Parliament. Just scrutinize it the way they do it, those the first, second, and third reading. See all the loopholes, accommodate the views of other stakeholders, and this is done through in Parliament. There, it's supposed to be members of Parliament must look at this process not with partisan interest, but look at the broader interest of society.
And in terms of governance, what important characteristics of governance would support the existence of the bill?
Participation, transparency, and accountability. Those three, for me, they keep coming back.
Currently, how do you think that are there measures of accountability that have been put in place for those that are, first of all, to provide checks and balances, but also for those that are caught abusing public office?
We have weak institutions. somehow there are mechanisms, avenues. For example, the Office of the Auditor General. Yeah, the Office of the Auditor General is a very good office, but it's almost like nothing, because they can only point at the abuses and then they have no mandate, they have no powers after that. They cannot prosecute, they can only recommend. Okay? And there is need for to make the Office of the Auditor General autonomous of the state, because you're auditing your own boss, and can you recommend prosecution of your own boss? Can you, you understand? The Office of the Auditor General audits the ministries, audits State House, the President in country. So you understand why it must be independent. Yeah, so the Office of the Auditor General is one of those avenues that we can use to make accountable.
When you look at the past and the current regimes, how do you think they have influenced the existence of the access to information there?
They have all been the same.
Okay.
They take the bill to Parliament, then withdraw it with the promises to strengthen it. For me, they have all been acting in a very similar fashion. They've been very majestic. They've been they haven't shown really seriousness. Political will is not there.
Okay.
Because case studies have been done, comparisons have been done from regional perspectives and other international lessons. For example, Kenya, the US, I think the UK, and we have enough ground to enact this bill, but it keeps going back and forth, especially around issues to do with the military. How are we going to protect the military and other sensitive security installations from being exposed as a result of demand for information? But from the regional and other international perspectives that have been done, those concerns can be taken care of. So that's it.
Okay. In your opinion, what sort of information should citizens be able to access once the bill is enacted?
There shouldn't be exemptions, because people have the right to know. So when that right is not, it does not exempt, it does not sift out certain aspects. It doesn't discriminate. Yeah, so citizens have the right to know.
Okay.
And if we are going to discriminate, then we are going to be promoting the same culture of secrecy, the same culture of lack of transparency and accountability. Yeah.
Would you have use for this information that you would access using the bill?
Yes.
How would you use it?
We'd use it to chart our own development agenda. We'd use it to fight poverty. We'd use it to know what our elected leaders are doing with the power that we gave them, the Constitution. We'd use it to check on what our elected officials are doing with the treasury. That's what we're interested in as citizens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's room for abuse of this information?
In every system, of course,
Mm-hmm.
in everything that we do as humanity, there are pros and cons, the bright side and dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there will be other forces, maybe internally or externally, that would not abuse this information.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we must look at the positive side, the brighter side,
Mm-hmm.
because that is what is most important. That's what we're interested in. So these other fears, we can. There's always a way of,
Mm-hmm.
averting them. There's always a way of taking care of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And lastly, what are your recommendations for moving forward on the bill?
Our recommendation would be that may this bill be reintroduced
Mm-hmm.
in this parliament and be enacted into law,
Mm-hmm.
because it has been long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that this bill, that's the only recommendation. It's a progressive piece of legislation. So the recommendation that the bill be reintroduced and enacted into law.
Well, thank you for your time. It's not 3 hours, but I think it's good enough.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope